Hello everyone, it's me, the Dr. Purple Guy, and for today's video, I'm going to be talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade DLC episode Intermission, where I go over my overall spoiler-free thoughts on it. So without further ado, let's start off the video. So as you know, this episode takes place after a Mako reactor flag blows up in FF7R, and well, this DLC features Yuffie, who basically collaborates with the members of Avalanche so that she can steal the ultimate material which is inside the Sinra building. That's the basic plot, and yeah, it's very simple, it's very straightforward, and it's the overall solid plot. It does have some neat things here and there, like it introduced some Dirge server stuff. Yeah, it didn't go overboard with it. It was cool to see how neatly they were integrated with the remake. So yeah, and also, it was cool to see the Sector 7 perspective of the reactor blowing up, because in Base 7R, you just, like clouds with Aerith, the whole perspective, like from that side of the world, that side of Midgar, you see their reactions to the reactor blowing up and everything. Well, in this one, you see Sector 7's like kind of type of reaction. So yeah, it was a kind of cool looking at different perspectives and see how that connects into the main game story. So besides that, solid plot. So the character, Sona was fine, whatever. Yuffie's personality was very spot on. She was fun, like yeah. She was very enjoyable, I had to say. So that's really just all I had to say. I don't think I need to say much about graphics, whatever. Music, I have like, it's obvious that it's fucking great. Like in this video, you can hear the soundtrack of the DLC. This is the track that plays when you're in the dungeon in chapter 1 of the DLC. And yeah, it's fucking great, especially in the final boss, which already had an amazing atmosphere. The music just adds a lot to it. So yeah, they did a great job. Now let's go on to the gameplay. Gameplay was one thing that was really looking forward to, because it feels like, in a way you could see how Square addressed the issues that based on our combat had, or like the issues that other people had with the combat. Like see how they addressed everything, and yeah, I'm very happy to say that the overall combat, like it gets as many things right as Sonar does. And I might say even slightly better. Like the air combat in base RNR, as you know, nobody liked it. Just like damn near everyone just did not like it. It did not feel good. It didn't flow well with the ground combat. Just didn't feel that responsive. Whereas with Yuffie's air combos, sorry, I was to say ground combos, but Yuffie's air combos just feel a lot better. They flow it so seamlessly with her ground combos, and in a way you can kind of evade the attacks when you're in the air, but like you get brutal form. But yeah, we still need more like defensive measures when you're up in the air. Like yeah, like I said before, there is brutal form, but it's something that consumes an ATB bar. It's not like when you're in the ground and you're guarding or dodging, that consumes an ATB bar. So something of that type, I would like. It's still not there, so yeah, it's not perfect, but they're one step at a time, I guess. So that's one thing. Just, and also yeah, the difficulty. They handle the difficulty just as well as Serenar did. Like if you didn't know, Serenar's difficulty it was handled very well, where they strongly discourage you to just blindly button mash, and heavily encouraged you to really just manage your resources properly, use them well, use them in the best way possible, and also use your abilities in the right way possible. And doing so felt very rewarding, and that was the very main like great thing about Serenade. That's what made the combat really good. So episode intermission, that's the same thing. Well, when there are some enemies like the hounds, especially the fucking hounds, which can be very hard for you, especially on your first run. But later, when you get like later when you get the good handle on them. Sorry, I'm starting so much. But later when you get a good handle on them, and then you just keep on beating their ass, and it's just like they're snap, they're fucking gone. It feels very rewarding. Another thing that I really liked about episode intermission is that you don't start off as a scrub or anything. You don't start off sluggish. Like you have a decent amount of material at your disposal from the beginning. You have a decent amount of materia to go off on, and you start off at level 25. So I really like that part. I just wanted to mention that. So yeah, the overall combat of this DLC, yeah, like the main structure and everything, it is the same as base 7Rs, but it has some things here and there that makes it feel, unique and makes it feel more fresh. Like Yuffie's playstyle. Yuffie was a great character to play as, and she was definitely a nice refreshment from Cloud and the others, both like personality-wise and gameplay-wise, both. Her abilities were also really dope. I can't wait to see how, how to have her in the party in part 2. By some stupid mode thing. In some stupid way, they decided to make her like an optional party member, like they did in the original game, but I know it with how, the DLC and everything. Yeah. And yes, there's the other character, Sonon, who's an AI-controlled party member. The AI, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. It's helpful having him around, but it's not like, yeah, even here, like that. For some reason, that AI has a fetish for dying, or like getting hit a lot. So, it's not perfect. It's not terrible, but it's not something great. It was okay. It was okay. And yeah, the other addition to the combat, which is synergizing, where Yuffie and Sonon's attacks synergize. But the catch is that Sonon's ATB bar charges slower. And honestly, I had to say, like, that was a very sick addition. Like, that was such a cool and satisfying thing to do, and I enjoyed having it around a lot. So yeah, it was dope. But now, I'm gonna be like, so far, it sounds like episode intermission is doing everything fine. Are they still like, is it like flawless? Obviously, it's not. For some reason, they still didn't, work through some issues that 7R had. It's not combat wise, but more on the menu side of things. Like for example, just upgrading feels more cumbersome, and it doesn't help the fact that the overall menuing in the game is very smooth and responsive. So, alright, let me give you a brief idea. You open up, like, you choose upgrade weapons, you choose the weapon you want to upgrade. Like, there are two issues. One, the toggling is kind of iffy. It's kind of bullshit. Like, talking to different upgrades. It was weird in base 7R, and it's just as weird in the DLC. It sucks that it didn't fix that. And there's also the issue that, alright, I understand if this is the case with, different playable character, but the same playable character who has multiple weapons, and they're trying to upgrade those multiple weapons because you want to upgrade them and see which one is the one most suited to you. But yeah, when you upgrade a weapon, you do your upgrades, and you want to upgrade the other weapon that Yuffie has, you gotta go, we gotta go back and then go into the other one, get into the animation. It's just kind of a slow process. And also, obviously, when I say it out to you and you're hearing it, to you it might sound like, oh, that sounds like a minor problem. That sounds like a nitpick, or even for some of you might sound like that. It's really just when you play it yourself and when you just go through those tasks yourself, it just doesn't feel so minor. It feels kind of annoying, and it sucks because it's first and foremost, this game is an RPG. And obviously, upgrading your weapons is very, very vital, especially for a game like this, and also especially for hard mode, where you're gonna need all those upgrades and those bonuses that the weapons give you. So it sucks. Like it sucks that they didn't like put any solution for that, especially when you simply could have made it like, all right, L1 you switch the course, the upgrade course of the other weapon, and R1 you switch to the course of the third one. It just sucks, and like you had to go through that process again with the other other party member. So yeah, it's kind of weird. But besides that, overall, very solid, very fun time. But now, let's get on to the length of the content and everything. I wanted to talk about that before I got to the combat, but whatever. We'll just go right now. So, the length of the combat, a lot of you might have heard, the story boasts about 4 hours of story content. And yes, that is true, but if you invest yourself in the side content, it's definitely going to take longer than that. Perhaps like 2 to 3 times more. For example, let me give you a rough draft. At the point of the story where I was at, chapter 1, Yuffie meets the other Avalanche members, and she goes off a recon and everything, right? So all of that was over. So after that, I went through, I beat the 4 counter opponents from ranks 1 through 3. I beat a VR summon, right? Oh yeah, we also gotta talk about the boss. We'll get to there shortly. But yeah, we'll go to the VR boss. We fight one of them, you know, learning and fighting a one VR fight, and after that, just doing all that took me 4 hours. Basically, the amount of time it takes you to beat the story, and I'm still not done beating the Grandmaster for Condor. That you need to beat a rank 4 opponent in Fort Condor, and that's when you're kind of like done with that whole side activity. And there's still like you have to collect the Happy Turtle flyers to gain an additional materia. So, and yeah, there were also other VR fights that you had to go through, like the Pride of Joy fight and whatnot. And there's also you go like in chapter 2, you have the Shinra Boxbuster challenge, which is another side activity. And yeah, they definitely take a bit. So with everything, with dabbling on it with some of the side content and beating the story, my first run took like 8 hours. So overall, the length of content definitely felt satisfying, I had to say, and just the side activities were a very fun distraction. I had to say they were too good of a distraction. Like Fort Condor was very addicting. Was very addicting. Like having the interactions you have with the different opponents, or just like they were great. That, and also searching up for Happy Turtle flyers and everything. Hearing the different versions of the Happy Turtle jingles was hilarious, and so it was a cool like little collectible side quest. And yeah, the VR fights. I still only fought Rama, who's the you know, when you beat him, you get the summon materia. And I had to say that boss was super fun to learn. It was super fun to learn. Had a very challenging moveset, and countering felt so good. And yeah, the boss fights. I had to say the boss fights, they felt like they were on the same quality as base 7R. Like they were overall solid bosses, especially the final boss was very sick. Like I already mentioned this before, where I talked about the atmosphere was amazing, the music was amazing. On top of that, it was a relatively easy fight. It felt like that for the first 2 phases, and phase 3 had some slightly more challenging moves, but overall, still a fun fight. All of them were great quality, and I enjoyed them a lot. But yeah, it's one thing I obviously haven't addressed enough, but you might already know, which I didn't address yet if you watched the DLC or played the DLC. That is the extra scenes of the ending. Obviously, no spoilers. I'm not going to spoil them or anything. It just extends upon base 7R's ending, and yeah, that's the another good reason why they recommend you to beat the base game after you get to episode intermission. All I had to say is that like that extension of the ending made me more interested and a lot more excited for part 2 than I already was, and made me look at the base 7R's ending in a more positive light. The only content I didn't go through was the secret boss Weiss. So I will get through him. It's just that I'm starting my 7R playthrough from scratch. So I guess like when I beat him, you'll know how I feel about him. I'm just leaving in the description and whatnot. But yeah, that's all. So besides that, the main content of episode intermission, I went through that, and I'm very pleased with it. I enjoyed it a lot, more than I expected. The side content was more enjoyable than I expected. It was a lot of fun, and I will definitely replay it. So that's really just all I had to say about it. It was a nice addition. I'm glad it was there. It was definitely worth the price for me. And yeah, I'm just glad I got to play this game again, and I had another chance. Like, I could just replay it. This combat system because it's so good. So yeah, that just wraps up my thoughts video on episode intermission. What are your thoughts on it? Did you play it, or are you one of the many PS4, Xbox, or PC owners who had to watch it through YouTube or anything like that? Which comment, like, and subscribe. Do know that I am 12 subscribers away from 200, so definitely spread the word about me. Or like, yeah, if you're someone who didn't subscribe, watch me. Like, come on, just stay tuned, right? My channel may be ass, but shit, I'm trying to get more subscribers too. Yeah. With that, I'll see y'all later. Peace.